So in this lesson, I'm going to go epic and I'm going to attempt to explain all of jazz harmony in one video. So we're going to cover everything from seventh chords to jazz improvisation to chord voicings and much more. My name's Julian Bradley. We're going to get straight in. Enjoy the lesson. So the first step to learning jazz piano is you have to learn intervals. You have to learn to count all 12 intervals from all 12 notes. So if I asked you which note is a fifth above D flat, could you tell me the answer in less than 2 seconds? Or which note is a tritone above E? Could you answer me in less than 2 seconds? Or which note is a minor seventh above F sharp? It's E. So as a jazz piano player, you count intervals all day long. That's what you do. Every chord is an interval pattern. You have to be able to count minor thirds, major thirds, whole steps, and so on. So as a jazz piano player, you don't get told every note to play. You have to construct the harmony. You have to construct the chords, the chord voicings, and the scales. So that means first you have to learn to count intervals. You have to learn the fifth, the fourth, the tritone. So I'm not going to slow down this video with interval arithmetic, but instead I've put together all of your intervals on one piece of paper. You can download that for free at the link below. Okay, so the next step is to learn the 3 main types of seventh chord. Now in jazz, almost all chords are seventh chords at least, and that means that instead of just a triad, which is a root third and fifth chord, in jazz we go up an extra third and we add sevenths. Now there are 3 main types of seventh chord. That's going to be the major 7 chord, this is C major 7, the minor 7 chord, this is C minor 7, and the dominant 7 chord, this is C dominant 7. Now you have to memorize them as interval patterns, and the major 7 chord is basically a major triad plus a major 7th. The minor 7 chord is a minor triad with a minor 7th. And the dominant 7 chord is a bit like halfway between those two. It's a major triad with a minor 7th. Now, most jazz songs are built of just these 3 chords. As you look through songs in your real book and look at the chords above, it's mostly these 3 chord types: major 7, minor 7, and dominant 7. Now, your challenge at this stage is to learn to play each of these 3 chords from all 12 notes. So the major 7 chord you can build from 12 notes. You can jump around at random, like this. Then do the same for the minor 7 chord. And then you can do the same for the dominant 7 chord. Jump around at random, make sure you cover all 12 notes, and you build the interval pattern. And you need to get to the point where you can jump to any of these 36 chords in less than 2 seconds. F minor 7, less than 2 seconds. C sharp minor 7, less than 2 seconds. B flat minor 7, less than 2 seconds. G minor 7, F sharp minor 7, C minor 7, and so on. Do the same for the major 7 chords. Jump around at random. Make sure you can play each chord in less than 2 seconds. So the next step is to learn the 2-5-1 through all 12 keys. Now the 2-5-1 is a chord progression. In fact, it's the most common chord progression in jazz. If a song doesn't contain a 2-5-1, it's not jazz. So let's start by looking at the 2-5-1 in the key of C major. First of all, we're going to have D minor 7. That's the 2 chord, counting from C, which is our root. So 2 means the 2 chord. We then go up to the 5, which is G, and we build the 5 chord, which is G dominant 7, and then we go down to the 1, and our 1 chord is C major 7. And notice that these are those 3 chord types that we just looked at: the minor 7, the dominant 7, and the major 7. And I told you that most of jazz is built of these 3 chords, and the reason for that is that most of jazz is made up of this 2-5-1 chord progression. So as you look through the songs in your real book, you'll see this pattern of minor 7 chord, going up a 4th to a dominant 7 chord, coming down a 5th to a major 7 chord. And you'll see this in all keys. You might see a B flat minor 7 chord, B flat going up a 4th to an E flat dominant 7 chord, coming down a 5th to an A flat major 7 chord. So that is a 2-5-1. In which key? That's correct, the 1 chord is A flat major. And most jazz songs will start in what's called the home key, and they'll come back to this key. So let's say we start in C major. Then it will go through a series of other keys and it will play a 2-5-1 in different keys. It could be any set of keys almost. And then at the end, it will come back to the home key. So that's how jazz songs work typically. They start and end in the home key, and then you'll have a series of 2-5-1 chord progressions that go through a series of keys. So these 2-5-1s go all through jazz songs. Sometimes you don't get all 3 chords. Sometimes you just get a 2 and a 5, and then the music changes somewhere else. Satin Doll here plays 2, 5, 2, 5, and then doesn't resolve to C major. Instead, goes to a new key. We have E minor 7 and A7. And that's a 2-5 in a different key, the key of D major. So you don't always get all 3 chords of the 2-5-1. Sometimes you just get the 2, 5, and then the music changes somewhere else. And sometimes you just get the 5-1. Stomping at the Savoy just plays C dominant 7, going to F major 7. And we don't have a 2 chord. The 2 chord would be G minor 7, but we just have the 5-1. Now on piano, this is how you can voice a 2-5-1. You don't want to play them all in root position like this because your hand has to jump all around. So instead what we do is we play the 2 chord in root position like this, but then the 5 chord we play in second inversion. And then for the C major 7 chord, we just play that in root position. And a little tip, the way my brain thinks about this pattern is I first find the 2 chord, root 3rd, 5th and 7th, and all I do is I look for the root and the major 3rd of the 5 chord. That's going to be G and B natural. And the bottom 2 notes stay the same. And then when you go to the 1 chord, you're going to look for the root and the 3rd of the 1 chord. And the top 2 notes are going to stay the same. So in your brain, you're just looking for the root and major 3rd, root and major 3rd. So your next goal is to learn this 2-5-1 chord progression through all 12 keys. How do you practice something through all 12 keys? Start with a 2-5-1 in C major. Then when you land on the 1 chord, change it to a minor 7 chord. So C minor 7 now becomes your 2 chord of the next 2-5-1. So C minor 7, go up a 4th to F dominant 7, go down a 5th to B flat major 7. Then repeat the pattern. Change it to a minor 7 chord, and this now is your 2 chord of the next 2-5-1. B flat minor 7, E flat dominant 7, A flat major 7. Do the same thing. And then you find yourself back in C major. However, that's only 6 of the keys, so once you get back to your starting key, count up a half step from C to C sharp and play a minor 7 chord. And this can be your new 2 chord, and this will take you through the 6 remaining keys. Now again, I've notated the 2-5-1 as sheet music going through all 12 keys. You can download that for free at the link below. So next, let's talk about chord extensions. So in jazz, chords go much higher than in other styles of music. Most styles just have root 3rd and 5th. These are called triads, whether they're major chords, minor chords, diminished or augmented, mostly major and minor. But in jazz, we keep going up the stack. So root 3rd and 5th, we can go up to a 7th, we can go up to a 9th, we can go up to 11th, and we can go up to a 13th, which is A. Now 13 is the highest number you see in jazz because if you went up another third, you'd come back to the root. So you don't see 15th chords or 17th chords. 13 is the highest number. And the reason that we call this 9, 11, 13 instead of 2, 4, and 6 is it's to reflect the fact that we're building chords. And chords skip every other note, they're built in thirds, so the numbering reflects that. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. Whereas if you're talking about a scale, you would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because scales are built in step. Now there's many different combinations of chord that you can create by tweaking the types of third that you build in. So you can build in major thirds or minor thirds. And depending which type of third you build in, major third or minor third, you can create these different types of chord. Now in jazz, the root, third, fifth, and seventh are what's called chord tones. These are lower down the chord, and these really set the foundation of what chord type it is, whether it's a major 7 chord, a minor 7 chord, or a dominant 7 chord. And then the 9th, the 11th, and 13th are called chord extensions, also known as the extended harmony notes. Now you can add chord extensions to any chord as you're playing through a jazz song, whether it's a major 7 chord, a minor 7 chord, or a dominant 7 chord. You can always add a 9th, or an 11th, or a 13th. And it's very important that you measure these extensions precisely. Now, to find a chord extension, we always build off the major scale. So if we have a C chord, regardless of whether it's a major 7 chord, minor 7, or dominant 7, the 9th is always going to be based off of the major scale. So you map out the notes of C major scale, whole step, then a half step between 3 and 4, and then whole step. So you only have to find the 9th, 11th, and 13th, and these extensions are always based off the major scale. So let's say you're on an F chord, and you want to find the 9th, you just imagine an F major scale, and you find the 9th that way. If you want the 11th, count up an F major scale, would be whole step, and then half step. And if you want to add the 13th, just run up F major scale, and it's going to be a D. Now in addition, these chord extensions could be sharpened or flattened. So over a C7 chord, D is the natural 9th, but we could make it a flat 9, in which case you just move it down a half step. D flat is the flat 9. Or you could make it a sharp 9, just sharpen it, D sharp. Now these are called altered extensions when you sharpen or flatten them. Now there's only 4 common altered extensions. These are always found over dominant 7 chords. Those are going to be the flat 9, the sharp 9, the sharp 11, and the flat 13. And you cannot have a flat 11 because that just becomes your third. We already have that. And you won't ever see a sharp 13 because if we sharpen A, you just get B flat, and that's already our 7th. And the trick to finding any extension is to run up the notes of the major scale first, find the natural extension, and then if you want to alter it, do that next. So if you want the flat 13, find the natural 13th first, it's A, and then flatten it. If you want the sharp 11th, find the natural 11th first, major scale to the 4th, which is the 11th, and then sharpen it. And if you want the sharp 9, find the natural 9 first by running up the major scale and then sharpen it. And if you want the flat 9, natural 9 first, then flatten it. Now again, I've notated all of these chord extensions in sheet music. You can download that for free at the link below. So now let's talk about jazz scales. Now for any chord in jazz, there are multiple scales that you can choose to play. If you want a bright sound over a C major 7 chord, you could play D major pentatonic, or you could play G major pentatonic, or C major pentatonic, or you could play C Lydian, or you could play C major bebop scale. You could play C major blues scale. And the only thing that has to line up is the chord tones. So the root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th of your scale have to agree with the root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th of your chord. And apart from that, the 9th, the 11th, and 13th can be tweaked either way, and the scale will still sound consonant. And really the only variation is in those missing notes, the 2, the 4, the 6, because we're talking about scales, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But the root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th, the chord tones have to agree in your scale with the root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th of the chord. However, there is a simple rule which will tell you which scale to play. I call it the chord tone plus whole step principle, and it works for any chord. So let's take a C major 7 chord. You're going to start by playing the root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th of the chord. And then you're going to add a whole step above the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. So for C major 7, C upper whole step is D, E upper whole step is F sharp, that's the sharp 4, and G upper whole step is A. And then we have the 7th. So this is called C Lydian scale. It's a major scale with a sharp 4, and this is my go-to scale for major 7 chords. Let's say you have a C minor 7 chord. Again, we'll start with the chord tones. Root, minor 3rd this time, 5th, minor 7th this time, and then we're going to add a whole step to the root, 3rd, and 5th. So C upper whole step is D, E flat upper whole step is F, and G upper whole step is A. And this is C Dorian scale. And one more example, let's apply it to the dominant 7 chord. Again, chord tones first, root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th. And now let's add a whole step. C upper whole step is D, E upper whole step is F sharp, G upper whole step is A. And this scale is called C Lydian dominant scale. And this technique works for all the 7th chords, whether you have a half diminished chord, even chords that we haven't looked at yet. The fully diminished 7 chord, you just start with the chord tones first and then add a whole step to each of those notes. And the only place this doesn't work is on the 5 chord of a minor 2-5-1. So we'll look at that in a moment, but on a 2-5-1 in C minor, you don't want to play the Lydian dominant scale on the 5 chord if it's a minor 2-5-1. But in every other situation, this technique always works. Now again, I've written out all of these jazz scales as sheet music. You can download that for free at the link below. So next, let's do a crash course in all of the types of jazz chord you'll ever see. We've gone through the 3 main types, which are major 7, minor 7, and dominant 7. Those make up 80% of jazz songs. Next up, we have what's called the half diminished chord. This is C half diminished. It's sometimes called C minor 7 flat 5. It means the same chord. C half diminished is a diminished triad, so minor 3rd, and a minor 7th on top. So the interval pattern is minor 3rd, major 3rd. Next we have the diminished 7 chord, which looks like this, C fully diminished 7, and the difference to the previous chord is the 7th. Here we've flattened it again, and the diminished 7 chord is just a stack of minor 3rds. Next we have the minor chord with a major 7, which looks like this. This is C minor with a major 7th. And it's written C minor with a major 7 triangle sign. Then we have 6th chords. We have C major 6. It's a major triad with a major 6th. Then we have the minor 6 chord, which looks like this. Minor triad with a major 6th. And that's a nice ending for minor songs, is just to play up a minor 6 chord. Next, we have a few different types of dominant 7 chord. We've looked at the original dominant 7 chord, which looks like this, but sometimes you'll see a C dominant 7 sharp 5, in which case you just sharpen the 5th. So find the 5th, sharpen it. This is C7 sharp 5. Sometimes you'll see C13. And when you see C13, that's still a dominant 7 chord, but with the 13th added up here, and usually you play the 9th as well. So this is C13, and you'll sometimes see C7 alt. Now, altered is a type of scale, and really what C altered means is add a sharp 9 and a flat 13. And you actually remove the 5th when it says C7 altered, because the altered scale does not have a natural 5th. And lastly, let's talk about slash chords. Sometimes you'll see in the sheet music F/G, for example. And what that means is the first letter is a chord. If it's just one letter, it means a major chord. So F would be F major. And then the slash means go to your left hand, and in the bass, you play a G. So this is F/G. And you can voice it how you want. You can double notes, you can play a simple triad, you can play it in inversion. Or let's say you saw B flat major 7/C. That would mean to play a B flat major 7 chord in your right hand, slash, and then play C in your left hand. And again, I've notated this as sheet music. You can download that for free at the link below. Okay, so the next step is to learn the minor 2-5-1. So we've already looked at the major 2-5-1. There is also a minor 2-5-1 in jazz, and it's the same idea. We're just going to build the 3 chords from the minor scale. In fact, we're going to build them from C harmonic minor scale. So we find the second, the 2 chords going to be D half diminished. We just learned that chord. We're going to go up to the 5 chord. Again, we're going to have the same G dominant 7 chord, and then the 1 chord is going to be a minor chord with a major 7th. So this is the original minor 2-5-1. However, normally we change the 1 chord and make it a minor 7 chord, and that's just because we want a more casual sound. Sometimes it's a bit intense to end with this minor chord with a major 7th. So most of the time in jazz, composers will just do a casual minor 7 chord, like this. So the next step is to learn the minor 2-5-1 through all 12 keys. Now again, we can use the same 12 key pattern. So your challenge is to play the minor 2-5-1 note perfectly through all 12 keys and to do it 3 times in a row. Once you can do that, you have truly mastered the minor 2-5-1 and you're ready to move on. Is it too much for people? Like teach jazz piano in one video? Like everything.
I think you should make it like not boring, like fun, like have one.
Are you saying my videos are boring?
No.
That's basically what you said.
No, I'm saying if you want it to be boring, you just have it in one video. If you want it to be funny and like fun and like fun to watch it, you would just put it in
Lots of videos.
One video.
Not trying to be fun. So next, let's talk about jazz improvisation. Now, I'm going to simplify improvisation into just 3 key techniques. The first one is going to be chord tone soloing. And what that means is you take the chord tones of your left hand. So let's say you're playing a C major 7 chord. Your improvisation can use the root, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th of the chord. And I'll even add the 9th as well. So C major 7, you have 4 notes or 5 notes if you want to use the 9th. If it's a C minor 7 chord, you can use the root, the minor 3rd this time, the 5th, the minor 7th, and the 9th if you want to add the 9th. And if it's a C dominant 7 chord, you would use root, major 3rd, 5th, minor 7th, and 9th. So let's apply this to the 2-5-1 chord progression. In your left hand, play 2-5-1 in C major, and actually you can add a 6 at the end. This is called the 2-5-1-6 progression. It's a variation on the 2-5-1, and this is a really good chord progression to use for your improvisation. That was all chord tones. The next technique you can add is called the half step below approach pattern. And what that means is to take the root 3rd, 5th, and 7th, and we can precede all of these notes with a half step below. So I can precede D with C sharp, I can precede F with E, I can precede A with G sharp, and I can precede C with B. You can do that for each of the chords. And the third key technique is to add a triplet to each line. And a triplet is where you play 3 notes in the space of 2. 1, 2, 3, that's the triplet. Instead of playing 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, I'm playing 1, 2, 3. Now, if you're enjoying this lesson, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, and make sure you don't miss out on future videos by subscribing to my channel. Now, an additional tip is try to end your lines on the root 3rd or 5th. Whatever chord it is, if it's the 1 chord, end on a 5th, a 3rd, or a root. That's just going to make your lines sound finished. And a final tip is to switch octave for every line. So if you finish a line down here, start your next line up an octave. And then switch down an octave. And then switch up an octave. Let's jump down an octave. Now we're racing through here, so I've notated 29 jazz licks as sheet music. You can study those. They use all of these techniques. And I'm also going to include the backing tracks which I played to. You can download all of that for free at the link below. So next, let's talk about chord voicings. Now, a chord voicing is a way to play a chord. So we've looked at the chord symbols, C major 7, C minor 7, C dominant 7, but all of these chords can be voiced different ways. For example, we could take C minor 7, you can voice it like this is a voicing, or we could go with something like this, a shell, or like this, or an open voicing, or a Kenny Barron voicing, or a rootless voicing, or a rootless voicing like this, or a crunchy voicing like this, or like this, or we could do a 4th voicing like this, or the so what voicing like this. We could take this voicing. So there's many ways that you can voice any type of chord. And to end this video, I'm going to show you a series of chord voicings which I think you'll like. First of all, we have shells, and that's going to be to play simply the root in the left hand, the 3rd and the 7th in the right hand. And you can voice it like this, called position A, or like this, position B. We can do this for a minor 7 chord as well. we're just going to tweak the 3rd and 7th to fit the chord type. So C minor 7 as a shell, position A looks like this, position B looks like this, and you could do it for a C dominant 7 like this. Now you can also use shells on a 2-5-1. D minor 7 we voice like this, goes to G dominant 7, goes to C major 7. And you can take that through the 12 key pattern. And so on. You can also switch the inversion and play D minor 7 like this. It's still a shell, but it's position B. You have the 7th as the lowest note and the 3rd as the highest note. The next voicing you could learn is rootless voicings. So for a C major 7 chord, you're going to play the root in the left hand. You're going to find the chord's 3rd, which is E, and you're going to build a minor 7 chord. Looks like this. So this is a rootless voicing for C major 7. Then for a C minor 7 chord, you're going to tweak the 3rd and 7th to match the chord type. We'll play an E flat major 7 chord over C. That's a really nice voicing. For C minor 7, you've got the 9 up here. And then lastly, the C dominant 7 chord, you would think it would be like this, but we actually tweak the 5th, we move it up a whole step, and that gives us the 13th. And with just 4 notes in our voicing, we get a very nice colorful sound. So those are 3 chords. You can play them in position A like this, you can invert them, play them like this, position B. Same for the C minor 7 chord. You can take the top 2 notes, bring them down an octave, play it like this. And same for the dominant 7 chord. You can take the top 2 notes, bring them down an octave, and play it like this. You can also beef up the left hand, play a stack of 5ths. Sometimes nice. You can ripple these chords. And of course you can practice this, building these chords from all 12 notes. Just jump around at random. Make sure you count the intervals accurately. And that's how you learn any chord voicing. You just have to practice building it from all 12 notes. Now, if you can stretch it, you might like the Kenny Barron chord voicing. It's a stack of 5ths in your left hand, and then a stack of 5ths in your right hand built from the chord's 3rd. So if it's a minor chord, build the stack of 5ths from the minor 3rd. Play this. If it's a major chord, you can build it from the major 3rd. Perfect 5th, perfect 5th. If you can't stretch a 9th, you can arpeggiate it, just hold down the pedal. Now, a pro tip when you're choosing which chord voicings to play is to look at the melody note, because it's best if you choose a chord voicing which already has the melody note as its top note. For example, if you're playing Cry Me a River, the first chord is a C minor 7 chord and the melody note is the 9th. So it'd be good if I used a chord voicing that has the 9th as its top note. In this case, I can go with a rootless chord voicing, which we just looked at. And that way you're playing just the chord voicing, but you end up playing the melody note with the chord voicing. And that's really how I choose my chord voicings. I call it melody matching. I'm always looking at the melody note and choosing a voicing that has that melody note as its top note. So if the same C minor 7 chord was being played, but the melody note was a B flat, then I could use a shell, or I could use an open voicing like this, root 5th, 3rd, 7th. Or I could use what I call a sawn-off Kenny Barron, like this. Instead of going up to the 11th, you could just play this. How about if the melody note was the 5th? Well, in this case, I'd play a rootless voicing position B, because the rootless voicing position B has the 5th as its top note. Now you can also use rootless voicings for the 2-5-1. So for the major 2-5-1, you can play D minor 7 like this. Just find the chords minor third and build an F major 7 chord. That's your 2 chord. For the 5 chord, all you have to do is move this note down a half step. The second to top note goes like this. And then for C major 7, find your major third, E, and play E minor 7. So you can take it through the 12 key pattern. Then you can take these rootless voicings and invert them, take the top 2 notes, bring them down an octave. You can start in position B. This is called position B, when the 7th is the lowest note, instead of position A, where the 3rd is the lowest note. So you can play position B, and when you go to the 5 chord, you only have to change 1 note. This finger just comes down a half step, like this. Now I've put all these voicing patterns as sheet music at the link below, and I'm also going to include the backing tracks which I played to. You can download all of that for free at the link below. I also want to quickly show you upper structures. Now these are a type of voicing for dominant 7 chords. So if we take C dominant 7, an upper structure plays the root, 3rd and 7th in your left hand, and then in your right hand there's a series of triads, usually major triads, which you can play, and they create sophisticated chord extensions in your right hand. D major is the most common used for me. I love playing the C, E and B flats, and then find the D major triad, play it in the right hand. You can also invert these triads depending on the situation. You can add an octave, but this gives you C dominant 7, sharp 11. It also gives you the 9th and the 13th. Another popular upper structure is to play A major above this chord. So the root, major 3rd and minor 7th in your left hand. You can play A major like this in inversion. That's usually how I play it. Now, if you're enjoying this lesson, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, and make sure you don't miss out on future videos by subscribing to my channel. So the next step is to learn 3 jazz songs. Choose 3 songs from your real book and play them 100 times each, to the point where you can play these songs by heart. Now, song selection is key for beginners. You want to choose the right songs. You've got swing songs like All the Things You Are, Afternoon in Paris, and Autumn Leaves. I also recommend ballads like Misty and Tenderly. Or you could choose some Latin jazz songs like Girl from Ipanema as a bossa nova. Or So Nice Summer Samba. Again, I'll include my list of beginner jazz songs at the link below. Did you get all that? Did you get all of that? Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not going to have to say it again. Now make sure you download all of the free sheet music that I've put together for this lesson. There's my 29 jazz licks sheet music. There's all of the chord voicings that I showed you. And it even comes with the drum tracks which I was playing along to. So to download all of that for free, just click the link below or go to jazztutorial.com.